Hey, gonna do some more guitar stuff today. Shocker, I know. And I have an amp question for you guys, so maybe I can get some input on that. And we're gonna play a little dress up with the guitar. What'd you think I meant? Stick around. Well, we've done a little sanding on the body. Got it to about 120 or so. I think maybe last time you saw this, it had some almost black stain on it. I think that was the direction I was thinking about going. Boy, I've got this dark walnut on here. Maybe that's as dark as I want to go. I don't know. It really kind of accentuates the flame to it. Doesn't really pop until you get clear on it, and then it'll really be shiny and really jump out at you. But I think it looks pretty nice, actually. So I've kind of got ahead of myself. I forgot I still had to shape in the heel here, give the cutaway there, and I had the top all stained. And I always get excited about seeing how the grain's going to pop and stuff. So I've sanded this to 120 or so. I'm a long way from final stain on this, but by splashing a little stain on it, you can really start to see, you know, if there's areas you're missing, if you got some deep scratches in it somewhere, you really need to make sure you get those out. Looks kind of like, yeah, right there. You can see got a little glue that I haven't quite sanded off there from when I glued the top on. Same there. Just stuff like that. You'll start to see the areas that you wouldn't really notice unless you had the stain on it. The stain really accentuates that stuff. So, you know, don't be afraid to throw some stain on it to help you see some of that stuff. You're going to sand it, you know, half a dozen times easy. You're going to eventually want to get it down to 400 grit before you clear it. So, you know, 80 grit, go ahead and throw some stain on it when you're done and just kind of take a look at it. 120, do the same thing. You can pretty much do it at any stage of the game. You know, just try to stay close. You know, if you're going to go with a natural finish, you know, maybe think about that a little bit, I guess. Don't be throwing some really dark stain on it, because you'll eventually have to sand it all off, and that can be a kind of a pain. But if you're going with a darker finish like this, or like a natural oak, if you will, that's kind of the ubiquitous stain everybody seems to use. Kind of a lighter color than this, even that'll accentuate your scratches and stuff, so don't be afraid to do that. Something else I want to mention, we're a long way from being concerned about it, but I just want to make sure that I get it out there. Always break your edges, and by that I mean don't leave them sharp. Your finish won't stick to it. When you go to clear that, it's going to want to shrink away from that really sharp edge. So always round them off when you're sanding, front, back, you know, even in your neck pocket, give that a little bit of a break. We're a long way from spraying clear and finishing this thing, but I just want to make sure I get that out there so I don't get all excited and forget about it, because I do that. Yeah. One other thing to mention, we're kind of at the point where you want to make sure you got some nice padding under your work here. You've done a lot of sanding, you're getting closer and closer to finishing. You don't want to just throw it on your nice hard steel table like I got here. All those little dings and dents, they're going to show up from that. So really start to control your damage. You should be watching it from the very get-go, but it gets more and more and more critical the further you go along. What I'm going to look at here, God, I'm getting the stain everywhere. Should have wore gloves. I always get all jacked up, excited when I'm putting stain on, get some color on, and I just do it. do as I say, not as I do. Get yourself some gloves, I guess. So my neck, I've got this little lip here, little ledge, I don't know what you'd call it, but basically it goes over the top of the body, kind of hides the back of your pocket. You'll see it on Stratocasters a lot, or always. I need to take a little bit out of there. I suspect it's because it's not necessarily a square cut underneath there, that it, when I get it in there, it wants to really, it wants to hit on the body so the neck won't sit totally flat in the pocket, and we can't have that. So I'm going to take a file. We're just going to try to square that off a little bit. We'll see if we can get her to fit. What I'm doing is, I'm just coming at it like this, trying to get myself a nice 90-degree corner in there, because I suspect that's all it is it just, and maybe I could radius this a little bit too to make it fit, but I'll try this first. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's going to be kind of hard to see, but if I don't have a lot of room to slide it back and forth in the pocket here because it's tapered, and it's pretty tight. So if I slide it back, it should go all the way back, and I shouldn't feel it pick up like that. Shouldn't kick like that as it slides up over the body. And I wouldn't say it really kicks up, but I can just barely feel it. I don't know. No, I think we're good. I think we are good. You don't want to take any more off than you have to. So, I'm getting stain everywhere. Fortunately, I'm going to stain this a similar color. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. I get a lot of views on the scarf joint episode for some reason. That's a really big one. This one, if you'll remember, actually has a scarf joint, and I'll show you that. You can see it. Should be right in here. So you can see it, but when you throw some stain on that, it's going to be virtually invisible. Well, here, let me just show you. More stain on my fingers. Wipe her off quick here. Yeah, got a lot of sanding yet to do on this. It's probably 60 grit, but you'll get the idea. So right below my finger is the scarf joint, running at a diagonal like this. And I doubt that you can see that, because I have a hard time picking it out. So if you do it right, remember, use your sawdust glue mixture, clamp it really tight. Really want to make sure your two parallel surfaces are nice and flat, so that when they match up, they match up. Just a little comment on the whole scarf joint thing, since that seems to be pretty interesting to a lot of people. Enough of that. Well, we're back in the other garage. Those of you who may have watched some of the other videos know this is one of my favorite tools. I grind all kinds of stuff with that. And today is no exception. As I commented, I got a little ahead of myself. I didn't grind away my heel relief so you can get up on those high frets. So we're gonna do that. I've kind of got just a rough outline of what I think it should be marked out with a pencil. We'll start grinding away on it until it feels and looks right, and I guess then we'll stop. So here we go. We're back in the heated garage with better lighting. That garage, it's attached to the house. It's unheated though, and it is -7 out, which is actually, it's warmed up. So I was trying to get this knocked out as quickly as possible because it wasn't all that pleasant, and I didn't feel like putting a coat on. So with the better lighting, let's see what we've done here. It's pretty rough. You know, it's just kind of roughly shaped in there, but we'll go at it with the hand sander and that sort of thing and really shape it in, form it in. You know, it feels, you know, I'm not a fantastic lead player that's way up here all the time, but you know, to me it feels good. I think you kind of hold the neck there. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't feel terrible. I don't know if I can hold it and show you at the same time, but you know, I could probably work it a little bit closer there if I really wanted to. It was really important to me, and maybe I will. But I think we're close enough to get the rest by hand. I'd always rather sneak up on things than take too much away just because I was trying to save a minute with my belt sander or something. So that's my take on that. I have a dilemma. I'd appreciate a little input on it. From time to time, I've been known to buy tube radios like this thing, a standalone tube amplifier, and I'll convert them into low watt guitar amps or use them for parts to scratch build something, typically another guitar amp. My dilemma is this. I saw this little guy on the internet, and what he is, near as I can tell, it's from 1958. It's got a pair of 6AQ5 tubes in it, a 7199, and a 6-speed W4. Don't quote me on that. That fourth one, I'm not quite sure. But it's something like that. What it is, it's kind of a standalone amplifier unit. There's no radio, nothing really in it other than the amplification side of things. It would have gone with another unit, a companion unit, looks just like this, has a radio built into it, and then it's got a hookup on the back for that companion unit and like a record player or something. So you would have these two units and your record player hooked to it. You'd have stereo sound, pretty high tech for back in the day. But this is just the amplifier unit, so it has none of the unnecessary things like, you know, a radio tuner in it. It's just an amplifier with an input on the backside. So, hey buddy. So I saw this thing on the interweb. I didn't try very hard to buy it. Actually kind of forgot I bid on it, and lo and behold I won. So here's my problem. The seller completely misrepresented this thing. Sold it for parts, kind of indicated that it didn't work. and or he had never tested it. Look out, buddy. Yeah. So I get this thing, plug it in, pop the top off it, poke around a little bit, everything looks pretty good inside it. So I hook up my Bluetooth receiver to the back, thing works flawless. Sounds great. Nothing wrong with it. The pots aren't even scratchy. So now I'm torn. Do I tear this thing down? Do I turn it into a guitar amplifier? Do I leave it as is? It makes kind of a little neat little Bluetooth radio player thingy for your desktop, although it is kind of large, but it's kind of cool. I just like that old stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think? Drop me a line. Send me a note. Give me a comment. Let me know. So I put a little bling on this thing just to, sometimes you got to dress it up to start to see the vision here. Occurred to me, something to mention. When you're designing your headstock and you're positioning your tuners, you know, I've talked about laying them out to make sure your strings don't interfere with other tuners as they go, you know, as they transition to where they're actually going to go. One other thing to mention is you want to also figure out where your post is relative to your nut. Unless you're using a flat headstock, then maybe it doesn't matter so much. But if you've got an angled headstock like this, you want to make sure that you're far enough away from your nut so that your string has, basically it falls away from the nut. So you actually have pressure against that nut. If you're way up here, and I don't know how you would do that, but if you were to get it too close, you just won't have enough break angle on the nut, which, you know, if you're bending strings all the time, it does help it stay in tune, lets it slide a little bit, but it also doesn't give you a very good tone. And, you know, if you're picking hard, it'll jump out of the nut. So you don't want that. That's just one other thing to make sure you got in the back of your head when you're laying out this stuff. Well, we're a long ways from being done here, but just thought I'd maybe give a brief summary of the vision here. Still a few things up in the air, mainly pickups and pickup types. I'm kind of a P90 fan myself, but this isn't for me. So TBD. I've left enough meat in there that I can pretty much route out anything, even 3 single coils if we decide that's the direction we want to go. Kind of partial to the 3 knob layout, but again, the control cavity is big enough to do pretty much whatever you want. Typically it's more like this, and then I have my pickup selector switch right there. I like these Wilkinson bridges. No sponsorship, obviously. For the purpose of this guitar, we're just going to keep it really simple. Try to keep those strings directly plugged into the body as much as we can. And again, we've got our 18-to-1 tuners. So, that's where we're going with this. Haven't decided on what we're going to stain this. I almost think it needs to be a lighter color. You know, feel free to throw some comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'm open to ideas. It's still pretty blank canvas, but I'm starting to develop a picture in my head of what it's going to be, and mainly what it wants to be. So, stay tuned. Hey, hope you enjoyed today's video. I think next time around we're going to make some decisions regarding pickups, control placement, bridge placement, things like that. Actually make some holes. Getting to the stage of the game where there's going to be a lot of sanding and things like that, so I don't know how that's going to quite play in regards to the videography, if you will. So maybe I'll have to dream something else up. I guess what I'm saying is if this still interests you, stay tuned. Feel free to subscribe. Drop me a comment. We'll talk to you later. Bye.